Why do people go out of their way to brag about a simple insulated cup, a seasonal coffee, or a specific brand of energy drink? If buyers are enthusiastically showing it off to their friends, they are not just buying hydration or caffeine, they are buying identity. Welcome to the psychology of the modern status object. Today we are looking at exactly how everyday, highly functional stuff turns into a cultural trophy you actually want to be seen holding. There is a specific underlying framework for this, and once you understand it, it changes how you look at everything you buy. You have undoubtedly seen it happen, probably more often than you realize. Friends posting a picture of a seasonal latte on the very first crisp day of autumn. Kids at the park flexing a hard-to-find hydration bottle as if it were a rare artifact. Grown adults lining up in the freezing cold before dawn just to grab a specific pastel color of a stainless steel tumbler. When buyers start showing a product off like this, it stops being a mere utility. It transforms into a badge of belonging. And badges command premium margins, organic word of mouth, and fierce loyalty that plain features and basic utility simply cannot touch. So how exactly does a commodity become a badge? There is a mechanism behind this magic, built on 5 specific levers that stack on top of one another. First is story, which answers the core question of what owning this item says about me. Second is scarcity, which dictates why getting your hands on it feels like a genuine, hard-won victory. Third is design, the visual anchor that makes it unmistakable from 10 feet away. Fourth is distribution, dictating where you first encounter it, which secretly signals exactly who the product is for. And finally, social proof, which is all about who is already carrying it and how loudly they are broadcasting that fact. Let us unpack how these levers multiply each other. Just a quick note before we dive into the deep end of these levers. If you enjoy ideas that decode the world around you and make human behavior suddenly make sense, consider subscribing to the channel. We explore one sharp, highly applicable mental model or framework per video, spanning across work, life, and the psychology of why we do what we do. Now back to the framework. Let us start with the first lever, which is story. This is all about turning simple use into personal identity. A tall, aggressive-looking can of water can broadcast the message that you are part of a rebellious, underground subculture, rather than just announcing that you are thirsty. A seasonal coffee turns a mundane morning routine into an annual ritual. Drinking that first cup of the year becomes a shared social milestone, not merely a caffeine delivery system. A strong, resonant story gives people a visual vocabulary to signal to the world who they are, or what specific tribe they belong to. The physical item itself ceases to be a product and becomes a small, personal flag that people are eager to wave in public. Next, we look at scarcity. You can think of scarcity as the software that programs meaning into physical objects. Timed product drops, limited color palettes, and strictly numbered production runs turn the mundane act of buying into a fleeting event you can actually miss out on. In early 2024, a highly anticipated 40-ounce tumbler drop led to pre-dawn lines, chaos in store aisles, and an instant secondary resale market. It was the exact same steel and insulation technology as the cups sitting on shelves for months prior. The only difference was the timing and the story of scarcity. With certain goods, a higher price and limited access actually increased demand. It transforms a simple transaction into a thrilling hunt. Then there is design, the lever that magically turns your everyday buyers into walking billboards. We are talking about shapes that immediately pop and demand attention. A unique, oversized handle that sticks out from a backpack. Loud, highly specific colors you can spot instantly across a crowded room. A century-old bottle brand recently exploded in popularity largely because a new, highly visible handled tumbler met bright colors and carefully planned drops. Suddenly, people were carrying them absolutely everywhere, treating them as fashion accessories rather than thermoses. If someone can recognize your item at a single glance from across the street, every user becomes an unpaid piece of ongoing media for your brand. Distribution is our fourth lever, and it teaches us that placement is actually a profound social signal. Where your product first appears fundamentally changes what it represents in people's heads. Seating backstage nightlife fridges, campus representatives, and extreme sports events framed a particular energy drink as undeniable membership in an adventurous, high-octane tribe long before it ever filled boring grocery store aisles. That early, intentionally hard-to-find placement does incredible heavy lifting. It makes each rare sighting feel special, turning mere availability into a form of social proof. By the time it finally hits the mass market, the aura of exclusivity has already been baked right in. Finally, we have social proof. The core idea here is to let the crowd do the heavy lifting. In modern retail, lines have become an actual feature of certain products. The physical queue outside the store is the advertisement itself. Massive shortages and strict per-person limits for a highly hyped hydration drink turned ordinary teenagers and their parents into enthusiastic, highly motivated distributors. They filmed their hauls, posted swaps, and bragged about their finds online. Social platforms compress this hype cycle dramatically. A new colorway can hit millions of views in a matter of days, making the scarcity feel immediate, visceral, and incredibly urgent to anyone watching. Let us see how these 5 levers actually operate in the wild, starting with a brilliant pivot on a basic necessity. A company put drinking water into tall aluminum cans, slapped aggressive, concert-friendly graphics on the side, and turned a boring commodity into a backstage flex. They leveraged story and design beautifully. You were no longer just hydrating yourself. You were sending a clear signal that you belonged to a louder, edgier crowd. By simply changing the vessel and the vibe, they reframed water entirely. Consider the Tumbler Stampede. A pastel, Valentine's-themed run of handled tumblers created literal store stampedes and resulted in immediate, massive resale markups at double the retail price. Again, it was the exact same insulation technology the company had been selling for years. The fundamental difference was orchestrating a shared drop moment that people felt compelled to participate in and brag about. The hunt for the cup became a core part of its value, blending scarcity with social proof in a way that made everyone want to be part of the winning team. Then you have the streetwear world, where a weekly drop ritual effectively turned waiting in line into a primary revenue driver. In this ecosystem, you did not just buy and wear the piece of clothing. Wearing it signaled to everyone else that you knew exactly when and where the drop was happening. The badge was a combination of insider knowledge plus the purchase itself, not just the price tag. That underlying narrative made the item profoundly worth chasing, transforming a simple cotton hoodie into a highly coveted status symbol. Even massive global coffee chains use this playbook. A specific seasonal latte launched back in 2003 seamlessly evolved into a calendar event. The first sighting of that distinctively designed cup each year triggers an avalanche of social media posts. That cup acts as a walking, highly recognizable billboard. Over 600 million servings have been sold over the years. By leveraging design, story, and a predictable window of scarcity, a simple beverage recipe was successfully transformed into a cultural ritual and a highly visible piece of public identity. Now let us look at some hard numbers to prove this is far more than just temporary internet hype. Municipal tap water in the United States often costs a tiny fraction of a single cent per gallon. However, single-serve bottled water frequently lands at the equivalent of $5 to $10 per gallon. That is a 500 to 2,000 times markup. Think about that for a second. The water itself is nearly free. Brand, packaging, and careful placement are doing almost all of the heavy lifting to justify that staggering price gap. Consider the global scale of identity marketing. One Heritage energy drink brand sold an astonishing 12.1 billion cans in 2023 alone, reaching consumers across more than 175 countries. That volume was up about 15% year over year. They achieved this massive scale not just by buying traditional advertisements, but by meticulously building identity. They constantly showed up at extreme sports competitions and sponsored campus events, ensuring their akin was forever linked to high-energy, boundary-pushing lifestyles. The financial impact of combining these levers can entirely transform a business. A century-old bottle maker experienced a monumental jump, going from roughly $70 million in sales in 2019 to an estimated $750 million in 2023. A convenient handled tumbler, incredibly lively color palettes, highly coordinated retailer drops, and a massive wave of social proof drove that unprecedented growth. Simply put, combining smart design, artificial scarcity, and strategic placement turned a basic utility bottle into a must-have badge. The ultimate proof of status is the secondary market. Streetwear drops frequently resell for 3 to 5 times their original retail price within a matter of days. In the luxury space, certain iconic bags will reliably sell for 2 to 3 times retail the moment rare color combinations hit the market. That is pure status dramatically lifting both the price and the demand simultaneously. While this extreme reaction does not happen with every single release, when it does, it flawlessly demonstrates the immense power of all 5 levers working in perfect harmony. So how do you actually apply this framework without just becoming more noise in a crowded market? You have to start with a specific tribe. Write the overarching story entirely in their language. Ask yourself, what does owning this specific item say about them? Make the answer incredibly clear and undeniably true. You want to give them a simple, powerful narrative that they are genuinely proud to live out and display to their peers. Next, you must design for total legibility. Create a highly distinct shape, a unique silhouette, or a vibrant colorway that stands out effortlessly from 10 feet away. A single passing glance should immediately communicate exactly what the product is and who made it. Keep the design language remarkably simple and bold. If you do this correctly, your owners will happily do all the marketing for you, simply by living their daily lives in public with your product in hand. Then, orchestrate scarcity that you can actually fulfill. Use precisely timed drops and carefully limited production runs to create genuine cultural moments. But once you create that demand, you must deliver. Do not accidentally train your audience to give up. If your most loyal fans miss out on the product every single time they try to buy, the frustration will quickly override the hype. They will stop trying entirely, and they will move on to a brand that respects their effort. Finally, focus on seeding your product where affiliation is truly earned. Place it intentionally in clubs, niche communities, and exclusive events that perfectly fit your story. Let that careful placement do the framing and the heavy lifting long before you ever attempt to go to the mass market. Make bragging about the product effortless for your early adopters. Use seasonal moments, highly visible but small numbered runs, and distinct visual marks that clearly scream, "I was here first, and I got it." Before you rush out to implement this, keep a few critical caveats in mind. Do not fake scarcity that you cannot sustainably support. Repeated frustrating stockouts will only push people toward cheap counterfeits and eager rivals. Remember that hype is not the same as a long-term habit. The most durable badges pair high-identity signaling with genuine, reliable utility, ensuring owners keep using the item long after the initial social media post. Furthermore, digital platforms are inherently volatile. You must diversify your channels and build your own dedicated community. And of course, always follow the strict regulatory rules when marketing food and beverages. Here is the ultimate reframe to walk away with. You are not just shipping functional products into the world. You are actively minting badges that people are genuinely proud to be seen with. Get the story, the scarcity, the design, the distribution, and the social proof working together in harmony. And suddenly, even taking a sip of water becomes a powerful social signal. If this breakdown shifted how you see consumer behavior, subscribe to Knowledge Worth Sharing and get a little sharper every single day. We make clear, one idea at a time, videos exploring exactly how sharp people think, live, and build. Tap subscribe, drop a like, and explore more on the channel. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you next time.